Hi, my name is Bob, and this is another episode of A Voice for Treasures from the Past. It's been a while since I've done a video. I've been pretty busy, and I've been researching a piece that I've had for an awful long time, but I can't make any headway on it. So, I put a name in the title of this video, and I know it will draw some attention, but I'm hoping to get some opinions. I think there's a slim possibility it could be Odilon Redon. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but French artist, very important and very significant if it were to be his work. Now, again, I give it a very slim possibility, but there are some very interesting bits of evidence that kind of, give me at least direction down that path. I've had it for an awful long time. I had looked at it periodically, and it just didn't click. I couldn't find any artists that would fit the bill. And really, what was really interesting was this time I actually was looking at the subject matter, and then came across sometime later an artist that it really seemed that it was within their scope of type of theme of work. And so Odilon Redon, if it were to be his, it would be very important. If anybody has opinions, I would be really happy to, excited to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. If you know possibly who it might be, that's not Odilon. Of course, I put the name in the title so it would gain some attention just in case, just so we can get some folks that might be a lot more familiar with his work. I'm going to go ahead and point out a few things that led me down the path to Odilon, and we'll see what you think. So this lithograph here, and I will do some up-close shots and such, and insert some photos so you have a better view of this. So this measures about 10 inches by about 9.5 inches tall. It has a signature which is somewhat illegible to me, and it starts with an O. First name, second name, or last name starts with an R. It has a circle with what looks to be an R with flat feet on the bottom. So an O with an R in the middle or inside within the circle. It could have flat feet, or it could be a J facing the other direction, which of course would be the middle name, if I'm not mistaken, of initial of Odilon. That said, it is numbered 4 of 6 in pencil. This signature is in pencil. The circle with the letters in it, or letter, is part of the print process. The title. This is what led me down to French artists. I didn't know who it was at first. The steps were, or who it potentially could be, or I was hoping it would be. The steps were, wow, this is a French artist. Let's look at French artists. Then all of a sudden I look at this particular artist, Odilon, and it's like, wow, it's totally within my opinion of his work, like his body of work. The title is Fraternité, which is fraternity in French. So that said, I'm looking for a French artist. I look at the subject matter, the fraternity. I understand that Odilon was associated with the fraternity of artists back in that time. Very well-known, big names in that time. If you know Odilon, you're going to know the names I'm talking about. That said, I looked at it and went, wow, okay, well, that could be the group, his interpretation of the group of artists that were the fraternity back in back in the, I guess, early 1900s, like right at the turn of that century, as well as a final piece that really got me excited was, or a bit about this print was, I had initially thought that this ring here, which you'll see an up close shot of this, was a coffee stain. You see that with prints, people set a drink or something like that on there. Well, it occurred to me, wait a minute, maybe it's part of the print, part of the piece. And under magnification, indeed, that is a brownish yellow ink of some sort. I assume it's some sort of marking, you know, ink or whatever. I do know that from research that Odilon was transitioning from almost all black art to color around the late 18, early 1900s. Also, and that was the time, from what I understand, was when he was really associated with the fraternity of artists. And what that would be, if indeed this were that group, would likely be the moon, because there was a significant, not, I wouldn't say worship, but an interest in the moon, the fraternity of artists. They sort of, I use the word worship, I think that's the wrong term, but that was a big part of, or a part of their beliefs and such. So, French artist, starts with an O, starts with an R on the last name, an O with maybe an R and an R, or an O-R-J, and titled Fraternité in French. And then what's interesting here is that I understand that Odilon's work, he did like a tissue overlay onto the paper to get a finer print, and it looks an awful lot like what that looks like. Now, I've seen examples of his work on the internet and of that process, and it sure looks a lot like that. And at first I thought it was toning from light, but what's interesting is when it was framed, you could see the glue, the adhesive from the frame is below that line. So it's it clearly, at least in the frame that it was in, wasn't caused by that, because this portion was up underneath the frame. I will say I don't have the frame anymore, sadly. I came across this many years ago, and I just disregarded the frame. It had sat in my storage for a while, for many years, and it did have a black lacquer frame, which was very typical of the late 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, late 18s, early 19s. The black small lacquer frame. Folks that are familiar with antique art have seen that a million times probably. So I would love to have folks give their opinion on this. I'm going to do a close-up right now of this, and I'm just going to move the camera to it. I'm going to move this tape measure, and I'm going to move the camera because I'm terrible at editing. So I'm going to move the camera up, and I'm going to get some shots very close, and then I will indeed put some still shots at the tail end of this. So again, any opinions would be welcomed. I would be really excited to hear from folks what your opinion is on this. And I'll go ahead and get some close-up shots. Thank you for watching again, and hope to talk to you or hear from you soon. Hey, I'm back for just a minute. I wanted to let you all know that at the end of this video, I have included images of magnification to see the actual surface of the lithograph, as well as I have included some examples of Odilon's handwriting. Now, I received these documents, scanned documents, graciously from a museum library out in California. They were gracious enough to send it to me. So these are official correspondence of Odilon's. So if anybody has any expertise, potentially, or opinions on the handwriting versus the signature, I'd be very welcome for that. The signature you'll find on this particular piece, while it doesn't exactly match, in my opinion, the 10 or 12 signatures that you might, that are examples that you might find on the internet, all of which are very different from each other. The correspondence letter by Odilon may help to identify or to get some opinions on that. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to hear some comments. Thank you.